I got a treat for all of you. I am interviewing my not so baby brother, Daryl Cardis, to share his experience at changing careers, where he shares vulnerably his challenge transitioning into a different career as a first gen immigrant and how he successfully doubled his salary in a completely new field. And I interviewed him because, I'm the older sister who's one, bossy, and two, he basically owes me for taking care of him his whole life. I mean, to my oldest siblings, where you at? So I'm just going to warn you. My brother was a bully in this episode. He opened up the floodgates where I cried a lot. And if you're a first gen immigrant or not, and you want to change your careers, we're getting into depth of it. We're talking about the anxiety of wanting to change careers, the mindset, the healing. I even talk about therapy because you guys all know I'm a huge advocate for therapy and even the practical skills, like what was needed, what were the step by step actions. And I'm just so proud of my little brother. Like, I don't know. I'm just excited for you guys to meet him because you get a sneak peek of how it was for me and my brother growing up as a first gen immigrant in Glassell Park, where we lived up in barred up windows. We got used to sleeping to hearing gunshots in the background. Yeah, that's where we grew up. And then we eventually moved to the IE. All right. Well, before I share too much, let's drop the beat. Hey, Legacy Maker. I'm your host and MC, Elaine Lucardis, business and career coach for women of color and allies. And welcome to the Call Your Dreams podcast, where we have conscious conversations to help you create a business or career that is sustainable, abundant, and equitable to the lifestyle you deserve. Because our ancestors sacrificed so much so we could have this life of choice. Now, grab your coffee, tea, and/or boba, and let's call your dreams to create your legacy. Hey, Legacy Makers! It's Elaine, and I have my baby little brother with me. Okay, he's 30, guys.
I'm 30 and balding.
I am 34, and you can't see us right now because it's all audio, but I'm excited to have my little brother
Okay.
with me. Hey, and the reason why I brought him in is because it's one, punishment, right? Where's my older siblings at? And number two, I mean, he hasn't really thanked me, but he did get a job that pays him double. Thank you to his sister, aka me. So you are welcome. And he transitioned completely new careers. So what else do you want to share about yourself, Daryl?
I think you covered it. I don't. What else do you want me to say?
You like
transition careers. I like you, maybe. as long as you give me as long as she pays me. Yeah.
well, our my fellow older siblings know that payment usually comes in food. That's what we do as opposed to money, right? But that's cool. And also
Mhm.
if I get into an emergency, something happens.
Yeah.
But I wanted you guys to get a perspective. You're going to be my first interview in terms of someone that has transitioned careers
Sure.
as well as doubling their salary at the same time. And the reason I want to bring you on, not only one, you're my brother, but two, it's the great resignation right now. Everyone is leaving their job. When did you leave your
Mhm.
job?
So I left my job around March of 2021. Towards the end of 2020. Towards the end of 2021 is when I left my job, and I mean I had been kind of looking already for a while now. I was already setting things up before I had left my last job, but that's about when I left, and I haven't really looked back. It's been
Well,
great since I left.
I mean, what were you doing before and what do you do now?
So I have a degree in chemistry. I graduated about 2014, spent 5 or 6 years in R&D development, working in like chemical, aerospace, coatings manufacturing. So from there, I decided that I wanted to get into sales because I liked the challenge. I thought it was nice to be able to talk to people, socialize, and I could still do like sort of technical work or use my technical expertise into a new job. So I ended up going into technical sales for a chemicals industry. And I mean, like I said, I just never really looked back. It's been a lot of fun. I still kind of do what I used to do. I still used to be a chemist, but I also do sales now. So
Well, it seems like, I mean, it was a good transition for you, right? You had
mhm.
those technical skills. And what made you realize, and it's not per se the job, but what made you realize it was a no longer a good fit?
So I was always like, there's a couple of things. I think one was the money. The money was just not as there as much as I wanted it to be, like it was in sales. And
Mhm.
the other thing was I wasn't really learning or growing, individually as a person in my career. It was kind of stagnating. So the only real way that I felt like I could grow is to try something else. Now I did try in my job, to be fair. I talked to my boss, I talked to people within the industry, even outside the industry, like, hey, is there a way I can grow within this field? And the answer was you had to either get an advanced degree, which would have been a huge time investment. And on top of the cost of that would have almost been not worth it. So I ended up just trying to switch gears a bit. And what intrigued me a lot about going into sales was that when I talked to people about it, they felt like I had the right personality for it, you know.
So, what I want our listeners to hear right now is that he was having conversations with people. I think what becomes challenging is when we get stuck in our own heads, right? When we're anxious, like, I'm not happy. What do I do? And you started just reaching out and asking for
Mhm.
feedback because what I heard was really important for you is one, money. And hey, it's okay to say that money is a thing that's important, especially when we're in a recession, especially when everything is expensive. As we're recording this, we're actually at our parents' home, and I think my dad has converted the whole backyard as a garden because all vegetables are expensive. Plus, it's a great hobby.
Mhm,
And while we're recording this, we're in my old bedroom, so a bit weird to be back here.
mhm.
And if for my fellow Filipinos or first-gen immigrants, like if you're watching this on video, it is messy because immigrant parents be hoarders.
I think my mom put, like, some of her clothes in the closet
Yeah,
or
like
her
this is
room.
my mom's other room,
This is
apparently.
my mom's storage room.
Yeah, this is my mom's storage room, but you were having conversation with folks, like, so can
Yeah.
you, and also, I know he sounds like an extrovert like me, but you're very much an
No, I
introvert.
hated it.
So how did you get over the, "Let me start talking to people," and what questions
Well,
did you ask them?
honestly, I just, like, asked myself, do I wanna stay in this job that I have already, or do I wanna advance further in my career? Like, am I okay with working 8 to 5, going into work, and then going back home, and then, just, like, hanging
Mhm.
out with friends, family, or whatever? Or it's like, do I wanna make, like, my career? Do I wanna create a lifestyle that I'm really going to enjoy within my career? Because think about it, you spend, like, minimum 40, probably 50, 60 hours a week in
Yeah.
your job, and I don't want it to be just a job. I wanted it to be something I really enjoyed. So that's what I really did, was like, okay, if I'm going to spend this amount of time doing something, I want to make sure it's something that I really enjoy and do. And even though I didn't want to reach out to people, I was very reticent to do it. You know that.
Oh,
I did it
yeah.
anyways because I told myself that I wanted to have more than just what I was given.
Having more than just what is given, that is a packed question. Obviously, we're brother and sister, so we both have the same parents. At least we think
Mhm.
so to this point.
I
um,
don't see the resemblance.
and and I mean, like we look at our dad. Our
Mhm.
dad has literally had the same job
Yeah.
since you were born.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so how do you think that has made an impact and influence on why it was important for you
Oh,
to find a job
it
that
was
benefited
well, no, it
lifestyle?
was really important. I mean, you think about how our family started way back when, right? They were in the Philippines, they were immigrants, they didn't have a lot of money. So think about where they started from, and then they moved themselves all the way up from there, going over to the States. Basically, they didn't have anything. They had family, but they had to support themselves. So they made, in perspective to them, yeah, relative to us, maybe first generation or second generation, it could look like they don't have as much, but they actually started from almost nothing, pretty much nothing, right, to get to where they're at. And I think there's an obligation for people like you or I, when we're born and we're here, that while we might want to have something just as good, if not better, we should exceed those expectations that are set by us by society,
Ooh,
because that's what our parents did. They exceeded all the expectations their family had. of themselves and their siblings that have of themselves. And so why don't we do the same thing and get into a job? I mean, like even the chemist job, even though, I looked for something better because that's what I wanted. When I started my job as a chemist, I was making like more money than both my parents combined.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's great, but I wanted more. And now I'm making double what I did when I was a chemist, so like 4 times as much as what my parents did. And I want to keep going because why not? I can do it.
Okay, like let me just say, as like older sister, like I'm like getting teary eyed right now because
I'm not.
God damn it! And I'm actually wearing like a long white T-shirt. It's my brother's shirt because Facebook bugs me when I wear a halter top. Anyways, that's for a different conversation. So we have another brother. I'm the oldest. Daryl's the
Mhm,
youngest, and then there's Marion, who's the middle child. And I tell our parents all the time, like, God, you raised us so well. Like,
mhm.
I think people see where we're at now, but like
We
we
struggled.
struggled. I
Yeah,
mean,
we
Daryl,
struggled.
you shared
We shared
with
a we had the 2 bedroom place and there were 6 people living in the house.
yeah, there was my 2 brothers, me, and my grandmother, who we just miss dearly in one room, and then my parents in another. I
Mhm.
think, Joe, I remember when mom's siblings, they immigrated here from the Philippines a couple years ago, and Daryl shared a story I would love for you to share. Like when we were at McDonald's, and do you remember
I don't remember the story.
the checkbook?
Oh, right. Okay, that story. Okay,
That's
so
how we knew
well, that's
we
what is no, that's not that wasn't when we were siblings, but that was when we were younger. Yeah.
yeah. Can you share that?
So I mean, like going out, like even just going out to McDonald's was like a big deal because we could barely afford anything when we were kids. So I remember, it was me. I can't remember how old we were. It was like 5, 6, something like that.
You
It
were
might have been. You were close to being a teenager. I think you were probably like 12 or
we
13.
were living in LA, right?
Yeah.
So then
Okay.
I was
Less than
8.
that. 8, probably something like that. So, but okay, but anyways, so we were at McDonald's. My mom took us out because she tried her best to kind of treat us, make us think that we're not poor or whatever. Because
She did a good job.
Yeah, she did a good job.
I didn't think we were that
I didn't think we
until
were.
we got older.
Yeah, I didn't realize how we were before.
Uh-huh.
But anyways, so we were at McDonald's. We ate. We played the band, then we had food, then we ate, and then my mom wanted to leave, right? But we said, "Oh no, like we want to stay longer at the playground, have some more fun." Because we didn't like where we lived. It was like there was just a street. It was
Yeah.
LA. It was crowded, dirty. I mean, like there were gangbangers
We lived in
outside.
For those in LA, we lived in Glassell Park.
Yeah.
Like our windows we had
Barred.
barred cell. Yeah, barred.
Barred cell. You couldn't go out. You couldn't go out past like 5 or 6 p.m. because it was too dangerous out there. Like it's not like how it is now, where it's a little more gentrified.
A
But
little more gentrified.
a little more. I mean, people modest, but yeah, like because now that area is like, yeah, it's way.
Those homes are like worth over a mil, and like there is like some NYU grad students.
I know it's
that moved
crazy.
across
It's
the street.
crazy how
Our cousins, we were one of those like immigrant families where the families all lived in one block.
yeah.
So we lived in one home and then another and another. Anyways, continue your story.
Okay,
We're
so
digressing.
so we usually never are able to like have fun. We didn't really have we had some toys, but not a lot. We never had a playground or anything or go out or had a yard. So when we went to go to McDonald's, it was always like a fun time. But anyways, we wanted to stay a bit longer. My mom wanted to leave. But being a good mother, she understood that let the kids have fun. They're kids, so she let us stay. So we were running around in the playground and everything. And I remember going up to the window and I seeing my mom on the other side and she was writing on her checkbook, and I was thinking like, oh wow, she's actually working right now. And then we're all out here having fun. So I remember when I saw that, I went to my brother and sister and I said, hey, let's go home because mom's, you know, she's working, even though what was it? She's working, she 3 kids. Both my parents work like 60-hour jobs, I think, right? Basically. And they still do that, more or less.
Ugh.
So it was at that moment I kind of realized how much work they had kind of put in and how to make things easier for us. And from there, just like you start to see the bits and pieces kind of flow in, like trying to support us while we're going through college. He went to UCI. That wasn't easy. Then my brother went to Cal Poly Pomona. So it's 2 kids in college. I decided to go out of state for college because I wanted to try something different. And they never, the crazy thing, and this is something that I learned too, was, they never really complained. They just like, hey, this is what they want. We're going to support them as best they can. So it's like, it was almost behooving, or however you say it, to like when I get into the workplace or workforce, that I should try just as hard, if not harder, than they did because they sacrificed so much.
Yeah.
And we owe it when you owe it to yourself too, to your parents, to yourself, and what you want to leave in this world, to society. You want to leave like a good mark, or do you want to be just a regular person? I think a lot of people that are listening to this right now say, "Hey, I want to leave something really important. I want to leave something meaningful. I don't want to just be a regular 9 to 5 type of person, flipping burgers or something like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we all strive for more, I think, right?
So my little brother is really mean because if you're not watching right now, I'm crying so much.
I'm not.
Out of all my podcast guests, who's gonna make me cry? My baby brother. Bullying, guys. Bullying on my own podcast. I mean, you shared like how our parents, for those that are first generation immigrants or descendants from immigrants, like how our parents
Mhm.
worked so hard. And I think what you caught upon that is how we learned to work smarter
Mhm.
and learning to be brave enough to ask for help.
Yeah. I think that's probably the hardest thing to
That
do
is the hardest thing to do. And
because it always felt like you couldn't ask for help because if you asked for help, people would like push back on you.
yeah, and oof, I mean, I
And
didn't
then,
tell you this because I slept over at my parents' home. So, like I said earlier, I'm at my parents' home right now as we're doing this recording. And I actually had like a deep therapy session
mhm,
today, EMDR therapy, which I'm all about and I've advocated. And, one of the challenges that I've shared with my own therapist is like being the oldest first generation immigrant. Then you have two brothers. We're just like protecting them, like
mhm,
wanting the best for them. And then like also balancing like how hard your parents have like sacrificed so much for us. And so just what a gift to even have Daryl here sharing and not even just like, ooh, look at him. He changed careers and got is getting the money he wants, but just even having that realization. It's like the honoring of our
mhm.
parents, of our family. Cause we understand how privileged we are.
Yeah, we are.
I mean, I see our dad, who like I mean, he would share stories of that. There'd
Mhm.
be no meals.
Yeah.
And
Like
he's
eat for days.
I would and then I was like the teenage girl that gave up like rice one year because growing up Catholic for Lent, and my dad would cry, but, we
Mhm,
sacrificed so much, we wouldn't have rice at the table. And we just don't take anything for granted.
mhm. Yeah. I mean, I remember that story like I remember that time like it was yesterday when that happened, and it was interesting, but it really puts things into perspective, I think, what your parents go through and what difficulties the past had for them. But I think the important thing is like how you react to it right now, because at the end of the day, and you didn't know at the time, but we didn't know how to react when our dad or our mom or a grandma, adults would act like that. But what's important is how you react to it because you can only control what you do, what you want. So you could let things like that influence you and intimidate you. And those things over time, I think, kind of builds up to where you're not sure of yourself. Like you're afraid of making a boss angry or something, right? You're afraid of standing up for yourself for what you believe in because you're afraid you're going to get yelled at or like hurt or, maybe not physically, but maybe like emotionally, mentally and just being able to say, hey, I'm going to break that cycle of, I'm going to be better than that. And I'm going to make those people proud so that, they suffered so much that, like I said, we owe it to ourselves and to the previous generations and future generations to advance our lives and make things better. So,
I mean, it's learning and growing and healing from all of the previous generations. And when you have like all these resources, like I was talking about
mhm.
privilege living in this country, being able to go to college, I don't know, it's really humbling. But I would like to go back to you where what made you realize that it was worth asking? Like, if there was a future out there for you, like how you can make more money, if there's any progression in the industry
Well,
that
I
you're
kind
in.
of, I mean, I'd see it. I'd see other people that would be really successful and people that would enjoy themselves and making a lot of money. And then I just looked at them and I was thinking, well, what's different about you versus me? Because I felt like I was just as smart, if not smarter. I felt like I'd work just as hard, if not harder. I felt
As
like
a
I would
person of
care.
color, as
Yeah.
a person of
As a person of
color,
color, yeah, versus people that are, maybe had already inherent privilege to begin with. But more importantly, I felt like I would care just as much, if not more, than they do. So it's like, why couldn't I do that? And then on the other end of it too, then I also had someone that had a mentor that transitioned from working in the lab to being in sales. And he said, Daryl, I think you do really great in this role. You have the abilities. So why don't you go out and do it? And you know what and you know what? When I called him and when he told me that, you know what I said? I said, you know, you're right. I've been limiting myself. I could tell myself, oh, there's no opportunities. I've been looking, but really I just wasn't putting in the effort because I was scared to change. And
Ooh.
I didn't believe in myself. So what happened was I ended up looking, and literally the next day, you know what happened? My now boss called me and asked if I wanted to do an interview. And then I mean everything's now I'm a year or so in later. But that I don't I was that it was that close to almost not happening, you know.
Well,
Sometimes it's just timing too and
well,
diligence and keep working at it. Cause like I said, I've been looking for a couple years and I was getting discouraged, but I just kept trying because just because a door shuts doesn't mean like there isn't other doors in that room in the house.
what you're also sharing, like you shared vulnerably about being scared of change. And I think as a
Hmm.
first generation immigrant, you know, we see our parents of how
Hmm.
safety and security is important
Yep.
because they lacked it, right? Which
Hmm.
makes sense. They lacked it. Like I remember when I started my business, as you know, Daryl, because my parents went to him like, "What is your sister doing?" Is what happens if you don't make money? What happens if you lose money? I mean, Daryl's heard it all,
Hmm.
like
Yep.
being in debt, I'm dead in debt, like, you know, from undergrad to even starting my business. How did you unlearn that? You know, learning that safety and security is so important because we saw that modeled from our parents
Yeah.
to, ooh, I'm going to shake things up.
So I think it was kind of the reverse of what happened. I think our parents, you know, everything was so unstable because they went from the Philippines and they had to they immigrated here to the United States where they basically didn't have any stability and to build up that stability, build up that network or that safety net, you know. So then by the time we were born, it felt like I already did have that safety net of my parents I could always fall back on if I needed support. And so I knew I could take a little bit of a risk, but honestly, it just came down to, you know, like believing in myself, knowing that I could make that transition because I've seen it happen before and be successful in it. So I don't know. I think it was definitely hard to try to do it, but you know, it's like I said, I don't regret anything that I did or how I approached it. I mean, I wish it had happened a little bit sooner, you know, if I trusted myself a bit more or
Well, you had the support.
yeah.
You found your village of people to support you.
Yeah,
People
exactly.
that showed you what was possible that was different.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely had mentors. You obviously were one. There was a couple others within the company that I had, and then a couple people outside. And they were all positive people that like knew that I had the ability to do it. And just like constantly surrounding yourself with people that help build you up. And then the most important thing I think for me also too was cutting out the people that didn't believe in you.
Ooh,
And that's probably one of the hardest things to do because when you're in like used to being in unstable or you're looking for stability, sometimes you'll like gravitate towards people that are also like unstable too, because you kind of relate. But then when you start to grow and then they stop growing, at a certain point you have to tell yourself, you know what? You were a great friend, you know, you're a good person, and I know you're still working on yourself, but I'm heading this way. And you're either staying here or you're dragging me down. And it's always like if you're heading one way and the person heading the other way, it's never going to go like this. It's only going to go like this. It's never going to
yeah.
go up both people. It's going to one person. The person's always going to drag you down with them. And so that was. I think that was probably the last thing I had to do was just start cutting people out that weren't adding any value to my life. And then from there, I was able to surround myself with people that were positive role models. And the hardest part is that initial like first few like months or something, because then you don't have anyone.
I just want to say I made the cut. I'm still in it, guys. He still kept his older sister. Just saying. What tips, what advice would you have to folks? Because I talk to so many people, clients, just others knowing because I'm a business and career coach who want to transition. What advice and tips do you have for them?
I think it's important to understand what you want out of your career. What are you actually looking for? And that's more of a self-reflection thing because as much as I like doing technical sales and as much as Elaine likes running her own business, I think if it was split, we probably hate our jobs. So you have to really understand what you're looking for. That's the most important thing. And that's just more of a reflection of like understanding what your strengths are, what you enjoy, what makes you happy, and then balancing that all out. I think once you do that, then you can start to kind of figure out where things lie because it's not just about knowing what you want to do too, but also taking things out that you know you don't want to do. I know I didn't want to do research forever. I knew I didn't want to do that. I knew I didn't want to go into manufacturing. I knew I didn't want to be like in like supply chain, or at the time, maybe in the future I will, but I didn't know I didn't want to be like a big hotshot CEO. Right now, I knew I wanted, so eventually it just narrowed down to what I knew I wanted to do. And then I just, once I figured that out, then I just went for it.
You make it seem so easy. I just want to share that for those like, oh, that's so easy, right? Like,
But it's
but
not.
it's not.
It's not. It's not.
I think, I just want to share, we live in a society, right,
Mhm,
where it's easy to distract ourselves, whether it's with alcohol,
mhm,
drugs, even scrolling through your phone is a distraction, or even being distracted and addicted to like working out or putting it out. But what's important is the pausing, the asking
mhm,
yourself these deep questions and seeing other people that may have created that transition, even if it's not the
mhm,
exact lens. That's what happened for you, getting the support.
mhm,
And then just starting to have that conversation with others.
mhm.
And then I want to share, I mean, like I said earlier, we are at our parents' home. And then not only has Daryl doubled his salary, but you
Mhm.
also got your company to get you a car.
Well, that's part of the deal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like asking for what
Asking for
you
what
want.
is there, because what's the worst that's going to happen if you ask for
Mhm.
what you want?
Mhm.
And you're just going to say no. Okay, that's fine. They can say no. There's nothing wrong with a no, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't go for the yes at some point, you know?
Well, I say if you got the no right now, that just means no right now.
Yeah, that just means no
How
right now.
sales of us,
Yeah,
right?
that just means no now. Doesn't mean no later. It's not no indefinitely. You just got to keep, you just got to keep grinding, knowing, and then knowing when to ask certain things, you know?
Well, also let's talk about that too, because I think what we've learned, right? Our parents worked so hard, and as first
Hmm.
generation immigrants, we didn't just work hard; we worked smarter.
Hmm.
So, how did you start creating boundaries around your work?
Really bad about that. I'm not the best person to ask,
And he needs to come
but
to me for advice.
but that's also kind of the self-reflection. So, well, the way I like to think of it is like, if I feel really motivated to do work, you know what? I'm just going to go do it. But also, if I'm not feeling motivated, you know, if I'm feeling a bit of a lull, it feels like I'm treading through mud or water or something, and it's really hard against the river, then I might take a little bit of break. I might go to the gym. I might go out
I
socializing,
mean, he just did
dancing.
that because he was working in one room, I was working in another room, and you took a
Yeah,
break.
I took a break because I was
Yeah.
I did a bunch of reports. I was following up, and it was like it was getting exhausting mentally. So I was like, you know what, I need to go to the gym, and that's more self awareness. And it doesn't mean I wasn't keeping an eye on things just in case fires happen, but I definitely have gotten better about recognizing when I need to take time off, even if it's during work hours. But I also spend a lot of time working off hours too. Like this past Friday, I was sending out reports like at 9. It was funny. I was sending a report like at 8 or 9 p.m. or something. And
Mhm.
then my boss like emailed me and told me, Daryl, it's 9 p.m. on a Friday. You could take time off. Which was like, he was right. I could take time off. But I was riding that wave of motivation where I was like, I really wanted to keep working because I really love what I'm doing. So I was writing it, but then at a certain point, or it just felt like I was slowing down. I didn't feel as motivated. I was like, you know what? Now's a good time to take a break. So close the laptop up, and then I didn't open it back up until Monday morning too. I mean, I kept an eye on my phone, on the emails and stuff, just in case. But overall, it's just balancing things out.
I think what I'm also hearing is that you have a great boss and mentor
Yes.
who calls you out when you need
Yes.
to create those
Hmm.
boundaries
Yeah.
and honors like your mental and emotional
Mhm.
well-being. So, Daryl, you are my baby brother, as I mentioned
Allegedly,
earlier.
yes.
Yeah.
Allegedly,
Um,
DNA test is still pending.
I
Jury's
know
still out.
I know I have given you some support when it's been to your career and other personal stuff, but we're talking about professionally, you know?
Yes.
But you could give like, your honest feedback.
Mhm.
There's folks listening here that may be interested in wanting to work with me. You've
Okay.
known me your whole
Yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Share
yeah,
what
yeah.
people should expect from
So
me.
so here's the thing. I work in sales, obviously. We talked about it constantly. And the one thing that I think I've learned, and that you've learned, and that our parents learned, is like, we care about what we do. I care about what I do. Elaine cares about what she does. Our parents care about what they do. And I don't think there's anyone that's going to care as much as Elaine will about making sure that you guys achieve whatever goal that you're setting yourselves for. And she's trying to touch me, but
Trying to give him a kiss.
yeah. And to me, that's probably the most important thing. And that's how I try to differentiate myself in my career. When I talk to my clients, is that everyone can offer you whatever you want, but is there going to be someone that's going to call you like at 6, 7 p.m. and just talk to you, make sure that everything's taken care of? Because I know my sister will do that. And I don't think a lot of people will, because a lot of other people care about other things. And you want to get an 8 to 5 and then leave. That's not how we are, because we're entrepreneurs. We're all entrepreneurs. We want to be the best. My sister wants to be the best, but she also cares a lot. And to me, that's the most important thing.
I mean, we're not going to go personal, but even Daryl has called me out for me caring way too much.
Yes. Yeah.
Where she's like, Elaine,
Stop working.
stop working. Or stop. You don't have to take care of everybody.
Mhm.
You don't have to
Yeah.
do this. But, it's fascinating because I know you have not listened to one of my podcast episodes. Nope, of course he hasn't, because he's my little brother. But he will listen to this and was like, oh man, he's going to be so cocky about it. So good. But because you haven't listened to any of my podcast episodes,
Mhm.
I do talk about that a lot. Like,
Mhm.
you want to be really great at your job. One, care about your client.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
two, actually get them the results they deserve.
Yeah.
Care and results.
Because
Sounds so simple, because a lot of things are smoky, flashy. Like, that doesn't all matter.
yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. And people are smart enough to notice when you care and when you don't. And communication isn't just like verbal, they can hear it in the tone of the voice. They can see it in the details when you send reports out, or like summarizing whatever information they need to them. If you make it as easy as possible for your clients or customers, then of course they're going to come back, because that means they have to spend less time trying to work, or trying to track you down, or doing anything really.
And then,
And if someone cares, then I mean, like, if you care, why wouldn't I want to do business with you?
yeah, if you care, Daryl, where's my oat milk latte?
Yeah, exactly. Well, where's mine?
Yeah, I introduced you to
I-
it. Just saying.
I didn't. do that.
By the way, I don't know if you can tell, I don't actually want you to message me, either email me or message me on Instagram, but I joke around Daryl and he hates it when I say this. Like, you're like a boy version of me, right? Like, we're essentially the same.
Yeah, that's not true.
It's so true.
Uh,
Except, like, he's
Yeah.
the guy tatted
A
up.
guy tatted up. Yeah, we're getting tattooed. We're gonna get family tattoos next. I'll get you one. I'll get you one on the sleeve right here. Right here.
Absolutely.
Right here, forearm.
not.
Forearm.
Okay, we need to go focus, Daryl. Focus.
Okay, focusing.
I would love to ask you two final questions. One,
Sure.
what is one action item you want to give to our audience for those that are considering going to transition into a different
Mhm.
career?
One, I would say, make a list of people that you communicate with, and then figure out from there, are they a positive, neutral, or negative influence in your life?
Ooh,
I would say that would be a good start. And
Can you
it's not,
tell-
just not professional, but also personal as well.
he's a former chemist. Can you tell positive, negative, or neutral? What a nerd.
But I think, because it's like what I said. First, if you want to be successful, you need to surround yourself with people that are successful. If you want to fail, then you surround yourself with people that also fail. So,
He's next
which
to
one do you
me.
want?
Just saying. I must be positive, right?
Nah,
Yeah,
something
positive,
like
I'm
that.
saying. Okay,
Jury's still out.
I'm gonna put a little warning for this next question. Okay.
It's personal.
Yeah, it's kind of personal. I'm gonna do it. I'm your sister.
Okay, fine.
I'm
Just
your
say it. Just
sister.
say it. Say it.
Our grandma means so much to us. Our mama,
Mm-hmm.
she sacrificed so much. And also our other grandma, Nana, who's
Mhm.
not doing so well. And our parents, all the generations before them. What would you want to tell all of them? All the generations before them, for where you and I, our other brother Marion, and all the generations. So what do you want to tell all the generations?
Two things, probably. First of all, thank you for everything that you guys put together, because all of them always were trying to work for the future generation. They're always working for their kids or their grandkids, my parents, our grandparents, great grandparents, things like that. So first of all, thank you for giving us a platform to be successful. And then two, is I'm going to take that platform and I'm going to raise it so high up, you will be so impressed by what you guys accomplished. So those would probably be the two things I'd want to say to them.
I'm like, raise the roof,
Yeah, I'm gonna blow the top off the roof. That's what I want to do.
I know. Wait, but that's like what millennials say, raise the roof. Gen Z doesn't
No,
do
that
that,
was
right?
the like
Like,
2000s, like
right.
the like Usher or some generation. I was in like middle school. You were in high school though. You're in high school. I was like in middle school at that time.
Class
So
of '05.
you're living in the past.
I'm
Remember what we
not.
talked about living in the past?
Well, I'll go to my therapist. It's fine. Also, final. I love you, baby
Mhm.
brother.
That's awesome.
Come on, say
Good
it.
job.
Say it back. Say it back before I stop record. Come on.
I love juice.
Oh, okay. Well, there you have it from the Carter siblings. Daryl, you could say it. Try. I have one more try. I love you.
Good job.
Nope. Okay. All right. Isn't my brother a bully? I mean, I was crying for most of that interview, but I was like a proud ate. For those of you that are not Filipino, ate means older sister Tagalog. And just to know that my baby brother was both mindful of the challenges we experienced as first gen immigrants, creating our dream life, to the privilege we have now to accomplish our dreams because of all the generations before us who sacrificed so much. And as my brother said, and I'm sure you can relate, we're here to raise the roof. I mean, how millennial of us, right? We're here to raise the roof to color our dreams. See what I did there? Because, this podcast is called Color Your Dreams. I hope you get it. I think I'm funny. Watch out, Joe Coy. Anyways, if you're wanting to change your career or you're not feeling aligned with where you're at and need support, you want to see how it looks like to work with me, to work with a career coach. I would love to invite you to schedule a complimentary 30-minute legacy career review call where we will, one, identify your personal and career goals, and two, review your current life and personal goals and make sure that your career matches that, not the other way around. Then you'll get 3 action items to start going towards your personal and career goals. So, to get a 30-minute career review call that is completely complimentary, go to elainelu.com/call.
Legacy Maker, if you love this Color Your Dreams episode, we would love it if you can leave a rating and review on Apple, so more women of color and allies can benefit too. And if you have one or two friends that would get so much from this particular episode, please share. The intention behind the Color Your Dreams podcast was to contribute and give back to our people. All right. We'll see you next Thursday for our newest Color Your Dreams episode. And don't forget to color your dreams to create your legacy.